Hi everyone, Kyle here from Wide Awake PH. Today, we're going to visit a Robusta farm with our partner supplier, Zwin.
Hello everyone. Do you want me to introduce a little bit about that farm?
Yes, please.
Yes.
So Zwin will now introduce to us what to expect when we visit this Robusta farm.
Okay. And then it's a Robusta farm working with Mr. Tai. He's a processor of Robusta.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Mr. Tai actually he was like the financial guy, and then he grew up in the coffee area.
So he used to be a finance
Yes,
person.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Then one day he visited in an event for coffee,
Yeah.
and then he recognized we don't have any Vietnamese coffee there. And then he questioned himself why we produce a lot of coffee. So he recognized at that time we don't have a good coffee to sell yet.
In the international exhibit.
Yes, right.
I see. Okay.
That's why he go back to hometown and thinking how to produce a good coffee and export it. Yes.
So he's originally from here.
Yes, right.
I see.
Yes.
That's so
And
cool.
Yes, so he focused because we have the advantage of produce a lot of Robusta.
Yes.
The second best country, the second big importer, right?
Yeah.
And then so he thinking and learning how to process a really good Robusta. Yeah, and try to change the buyers of the world about Robusta.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So he's starting like from he mainly focus on honey process and natural process.
Natural.
Yes,
Okay.
right. And then the way we farm, like he has a small farm from his family and cooperate with the farmers around.
I see.
They take care of the farm and collect the cherry, follow his requirements.
So he teaches or he informs the community
Yes,
how
right.
to do the processing as
Yes,
well,
right.
according to his standard.
Yes, right.
I see.
And then I try to promote that type of Robusta. And then we expect to increase the quality,
Yes.
increase of its value, and then we can pay farmer more. And then that's why they're happy to work following our requirements.
So even the farmers in the community get to benefit from the arrangement.
Yes. Well, we often buy them like 30% higher than the market does.
Okay.
Yes.
So previously, the farmers in the community were doing only commercial grade.
Exactly, yes. They just pick the green coffee fruits and then put it under the sun in the jar. And
Just like that?
It's just like that for the farmer when we before we try the process. So that's why Vietnamese like very low
Quality.
low reputation on good Robusta in the world. Yes.
So before it was just you just pick whatever.
Yeah.
They pick the whole thing.
Yeah,
and
right. Pick the whole
they don't
thing.
wait for it to ripen.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they just wait for the sun, and that's how it was before. Yeah, so today we're going to meet with Mr. Tai.
Okay, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So now, we know that worldwide Robusta doesn't have the best reputation, especially compared to Arabica.
Yes.
So, but now, how do you see that the attitudes of your customers are changing towards Robusta? And what countries are buying?
For example, I work the most with the American. I work with many big facility roastery in America. I have one story to tell you.
Okay.
He worked on coffee industry 30 years already, 30 years, and then all of his life work on Arabica.
Okay.
But recently, he contacted me and asked, "Hey Duyên, I need some Robusta. I want to offer something new to my customer."
Okay.
So I plan to make the Robusta espresso capsule.
Okay.
Yes, and send me some sample.
Okay.
I just sent to him some sample, but he did not have the experience working on Robusta.
To clarify, the sample you sent him is just in pods or just the bean? Green bean.
Green beans.
Green bean first.
Green beans first. I always send green bean first.
Okay.
Yes. And then let him roast himself first.
Okay.
And then we will advise him how to roast later for the type he want like espresso capsule.
I see.
Yes. And then we have the roasting it first. to advise to give the profile to customer. Yes, to make sure Robusta show up as the best profile possible.
Yeah.
And then so you see like the changing attitude changing in the America, like more and more people like asking me for Robusta.
Yeah, they're more curious, right?
Before that, like they never have that mindset, like they have that plan in mind, like 30 years working in Arabica, and now he come up, he knows the trend, he knows customer needs something new, and he knows that we can produce a good Robusta already, not commercial never anymore. So he would like to try, like most of us get used to with blending, right? Blending is the most used so far. But for really good Robusta, you can use for black drink too.
Yeah, I've had some really good Robusta that I'd happily take as a straight filter coffee.
And then and then I tell you, like most barista in Vietnam, we have the experience working on Robusta. We know that can make a good latte with Robusta too. So we will try more and more, and then together we can develop the recipe, right?
Okay.
Recipe.
That's correct.
To how to offer people like the really good Robusta, maybe can surprise people,
Yeah, I do think so. I do think so. Even at home, just selling our premium Fructifero Robusta, people message us and are surprised that, wow, Robusta can be like this.
Oh, exactly.
Especially, I think people will be super surprised when they try a Robusta that's fruity.
Yeah, right.
Because the Robusta is notorious for being like dark, super bitter, no complexity, boring. But now it's really changing. And this is what we will explore as we visit these farms and taste the coffees available. Vietnam is the largest exporter of Robusta, and today we're going to visit a farm that focuses its efforts in selling premium to fine quality Robusta. Meaning, the Robustas this farm offers are CQI rated anywhere from 78 to 84 points. In this farm trip, we will learn how this particular farm is able to consistently offer quality Robustas at a commercially viable scale. These are the things we've learned so far. For one, their land size is very large relative to the lands we have at home. This producer has a total of 25 hectares worth of land. That much land, plus the fact that Robusta is hardy and incredibly productive, means that they have the capability to produce on a larger scale. Naturally, the next question is, how do they produce quality, specifically quality Robusta? And the answer there is knowledge combined with the necessary investments to produce quality coffee reliably and consistently. So the owner of this farm trained under Professor Manuel Diaz, who is known to be a coffee scientist, who has worked with farming communities all over the world, specifically developing post-harvest protocols and processes. Manuel Diaz is an accomplished coffee policy consultant, educator, roaster, and a CQI Arabica as well as a Robusta Q instructor. In fact, he helped develop the Robusta scene in Uganda. And now he's very active in teaching here in Vietnam as well. So the lessons this farmer picked up from Manuel Diaz has been translated into the protocols that they are now following for producing Robusta. For one, they pick ripe. They even have a percentage of ripeness that they're very particular about. Each lot uses 98 to 100% ripe cherries and they're graded accordingly. Second, they have machines. So I was so surprised with the amount of machinery this farmer uses. It's actually super awesome. For one, they have one machine that just density sorts the whole cherries first. So the coffee cherries that are not ideal are sold at a commercial price elsewhere, whereas the cherries that pass will then move on to production. This farm does a couple of different processes. They have yellow honey, red honey, black honey, natural, anaerobic natural, and now they're experimenting with koji fermentation. The farmer let me smell some of his koji fermented Robusta, and it smelled like soy milk, butter, and had a very sweet, nutty aroma. It was actually so intriguing. I wish I could get my hands on it, but he didn't have any more. Because it's just an experiment. Maybe the following harvest. Let's see. Anyway, once all of these coffees are depulped, they are sorted for screen size and density. Screen size and density is not super important if you're the end consumer, but it's so important for us roasters because the screen size refers to the size of the bean, and of course, the size of the bean affects the way we roast the coffee. So we have to be pretty particular about the screen sizes that we're choosing from the farm because it will all roast differently depending on the roaster and depending on the kind of coffee we want to serve for that particular lot of coffee. The other thing we've learned is how this farmer dries the Robusta, which is absolutely amazing. They have greenhouses with windows that they can open and close such that they can modulate the airflow to control the humidity and temperature of the inside of this greenhouse. That is absolutely amazing because, for one, greenhouses are necessary in Asia so that the farmers can avoid the risk of damage to their coffee whilst drying. Absolutely spectacular. As a green coffee buyer based in the Philippines, I can't tell you the amount of stress we have when it's raining while the farmers are harvesting and drying their coffee. Because if it's raining and the coffee that is being dried is rained on, we have the risk of added moisture, we have the risk of spoilage and rotting, and that just adds to the amount of risk and loss that the farmer can take even before the coffee is ready. It's safe to say that this farm treats and processes Robusta similarly to how many quality-focused Arabica farms grow and process Arabica. Which is why it comes as no surprise to me that the quality of the Robustas here are so high relative to what is common in the market back home in the Philippines. This is something very exciting for us here in Wide Awake because honestly, with this kind of Robusta and with the prices that they are selling it for, we can buy and offer high-quality coffee that is more affordable, which will allow our consumers and our cafe clients to sell very tasty and ethically traded coffee at a competitive price. Instead of them having to use commercially oriented and usually unethically graded and traded Arabica that is so common here in the Philippines. And not only that, what we've learned here in this Robusta farm and in our trip here in Vietnam as a whole serve as an inspiration for us and our local Philippine partner farmers to aspire towards. Maybe one day we can also produce coffee like this here in the Philippines. But we know this is only possible with the support of the greater coffee community at large. And I'm talking about everyone: consumers, roasters, cafe owners, and even the government. For us here in Wide Awake, we will do our absolute best to work towards this goal.